Hi, Jade. Welcome to the Grow to Be Free podcast. I'm so excited to have you on. For everybody listening, Jade is a transformational life coach. She's also a fitness expert, author, and she has her own podcast called the Dreams to Reality podcast. And I'm so excited to interview her because she's going to be talking about how to get in touch with yourself and move into the flow state, which this is honestly a newer concept for me. So I'm really excited to hear what she has to share. But Jade, just tell us about your story. Like, I know you come from a different country, and so tell us about how you got here.
Oh my gosh. The story is hilarious because I'm one of those people who are just very adventurous and we're seeking opportunities. So with no English, no friends, like just literally a girl from Kazakhstan that didn't even travel much outside of Kazakhstan. One day decided to move to America to pursue her dreams, and I was pursuing my creative dreams. I was looking for a challenge, and I've got one. So that was in 2013 when I was 23 years old. Before that, I was working at my parents' business. Like they had a bakery, and I was managing it. Like I was responsible for distribution. And then one day, I just not even one day, but I could feel like how slowly I had this buildup of frustration because there's so much creativity that I needed to express. There is so much. I felt like I needed real challenge, not being in the country where everything is said, the traditions are established, and I could already tell what's ahead of me. And I could see that a lot of what I have, I wouldn't be able to explore that in my country. So that was the main reason why I decided to move and take such a step, into unknown. So speaking of flow, by the way, at the time, like I was in the most flow state, like without really knowing it, because I didn't really have the choice. I had to jump into unknown. I had to just, go with the flow, see how it turns out, hoping for the best, believing in what I want, and just going from there. And guess what? Everything worked out because I was in such a state without, again, knowing what I was without consciously realizing what I was doing. So that was really, and now looking back, I realized I'm like, wow, that was really brave. I was so fearless. When you're young, you're just like, I think that's the best time to take risks and really get used to that kind of living, get used to that kind of mindset because on the other side, there are great things on the other side of risk, on the other side of going into adventure, whatever that is. If it's like me moving, or if it's you're traveling the world, or you're trying a new business venture, or you're trying a new project. If we could just look at it as a interesting challenge versus a burden, it just changes the whole game. So thankfully at the time, that was my state. I was really excited. I was sick of like where I was, and I was like, already I could feel I was depressed. I was starting to get depressed, and I'm not a person who gets depressed. I'm always busy, I'm always studying, I'm always learning. So that's when I realized I have to go. And then I got, they gave me a visa in the embassy for a month. Like everyone gets a year and 5 years, and I get a month. And I'm like, seriously, why? I'm trying to stay here. I'm trying to grasp the opportunity and somehow like stay. But basically, a month student visa they gave me to study English here says you go there for a month and then you go back. So I'm like, I go there for a month and then go back. That's not my plan. Like I want to stay. So, and again, not speaking English, not knowing anyone. I had no idea how I was going to do it. But I was like, let me just get there. I'll figure it out. So like, I'll find a way. I don't know. Let's see. Like, I'll do my absolute best. And I did. It was like very, I remember at the beginning, like, me conversing with people is just like with hand gestures, some random words, throwing like darts, and then also what was that? Oh, one time I came out of like the building and I hear everyone speaking English, and I just look around and I realize this sounds like noise to me. Like I literally don't understand anything that's going on. I'm like, I was like, oh my gosh, like how? So yes, and then I able to extend my visa. So I was talking to the school administrator and I was asking if there are options I could stay longer. And they said, I found one. Apparently there was such thing as I-20. And like on that, you can keep extending if you keep paying for school. So I was able to extend my English language school basically for several more months. And then while I was studying there on the same paper, that's I-20 status for students, I was able to start my acting program for 2 years. It's like a basically AA degree. So yeah, I enrolled in acting school for 2 years so I can win 2 more years. Plus, that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to pursue a creative profession, and I wanted to be an actress. So it worked out. Like everything just manifested, and I was able to just quickly jump from one to another and just roll with it. And then I graduated, then I got married afterwards, and it was like a whole thing. And yeah, and today I'm an American citizen.
That's incredible.
So that's like just, yeah, it's pretty crazy now I think about it.
Yeah. So when you were in Kazakhstan, was it like, did you see movies and TV shows and you were like, I want to be an actress and LA is the place to go, so that's where I'm going. I'll figure it out. Was that kind of the thought process?
Yes. And literally all the vision that I had, like what America or Hollywood or LA is gonna be like, is all from the movies. Because how else would you know? Like, I just know it's somewhere there, and then there are exciting things that are happening there, and like all of the image that I've built up was from the movies I watched, from the whatever shows I watched, and kind of putting the pieces together. And it was a dream, it was a dream. And actually, I remember, but I came with this, like, I'm going to conquer LA. I'm going to be the best actress. I'm going to like, work this thing. And I remember myself, I think it was like on the third day when I just came to LA, and I was walking on Beverly Hills, and I see all those expensive cars, like very nice, well-dressed people, and build huge buildings. And I look around, and that's when it hit me for a second. I was like, how am I going to do this? I was like, I look at all the grandiose of everything that's going on, and I'm like, how the heck, like, how am I going to do this? It kind of struck me, and I started doubting for a second. But then I was like, well, you have no choice. You got to do this,
Yeah.
So figure it out, basically.
Yeah, that is so interesting, because I found myself in that type of situation too sometimes, where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna kill it. Like, I'm just gonna be so good at whatever it is I'm gonna do. And then the reality sets in and you're like, I actually have no clue what I'm doing. So, but especially in your case, because you moved from a different country, it's like you better make it work or not, or go back. And that's obviously not something that you wanted to do. So tell me about like how it was actually getting started in acting, and how did you navigate the fact that, okay, I don't speak English very well. So how did you navigate that?
See, like, I just love the fact that now looking back, I realized that having such high stakes was great, because my stakes were stronger than my doubts. My stakes were stronger than my fears. My stakes were stronger than my obstacles. So I didn't have a backup plan. I had to make this happen and give my all. So I remember myself while in English school. I was going to different acting schools and talking to their principals, and I could barely put two words together, and asking them about what their school is about, and like, can I enroll in their acting school? Kiani, you froze. I hope
Yes,
I'm
I can hear
good.
you.
I'll just
Keep
continue.
going.
You can hear me. Okay, perfect.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can hear you.
So, and I would come in. I remember their eyes were like this big, looking at me. They're like, "How are you planning on studying acting?" Hi.
Oh no, it just quit on me. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, it looks dang. Okay. Well, all right.
It's just,
I don't remember like where it exactly cut off, but go ahead and just pick up where you left off.
I'll just start from the beginning in terms of, so when I was in my language school, I was kind of going around, and any acting school that I would find that from a year to a 2-year program, I would just go there and try to talk to someone there and see what their conditions are. And they would look at me with their huge eyes and would be like, "How are you planning on studying acting? You don't speak English." Like, and there was one school that was actually very close to my language school. And I came in, and this lady, Liz, she was super nice and very understanding and so warm. And she wanted to give me a chance. And they were enrolling, and she said, kind of like, "I get where you're at, but I see how much desire you have, and like, we will give it a shot." So, but she said, I was planning on enrolling on 1-year program for acting, but she said it was 2 years. And I was like, "Oh, that's not my plan. Like, I'm only planning for 1 year." But then I was like, you know what? It's probably better, because I'll win some more time, and I'll be able to establish myself while studying, and it will give me more time to learn English while I'm in school. So when I graduate and I go on set, like, I'm well equipped and I have enough time. So this is like a matter of time as well, where you're trying to win time here, like literally with papers and everything. So there are multiple things going on simultaneously, basically. So, and then they had me prepare a monologue for them. Oh my gosh, like my legs were shaking so hard. I have no idea what I'm saying. I'm just saying it and trying to put some emotion into it from whatever I learned what was about. And it was something with a daughter talking in a monologue to her dad or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember. I blacked out, and somehow I delivered that monologue. And I just, now I command my old self, like my young self, to being so courageous to do that, like on some language that you don't even speak, you know what you're saying, in front of 4 or 5 people, and on stage where you are just by yourself like this. I remember, I don't know how the words came out of my mouth. Basically, they accepted me. And then in my school, I mean, in my class, actually, we had mostly American, British, Australian. So their English is their first language. They had accents, but it was still good, easier for them. And I had a couple other foreigners, and all of us are like, we're trying to. So I love that it's called the Theater of Arts, that school, acting school. I love that they gave us a chance to really kind of explore stuff. And it worked out at the end of I remember even on my first year, like my first year staying here, my English was already good. Like in a year, I worked really hard, and I was able to converse easily and be on stage. Yes, I had a thicker accent, and I also, there were words that I didn't know, but still, like, I could converse. I could already be, I could understand. The hardest thing was doing Shakespeare. Here, oh my God, it was like, what? It's like, it's written on gibberish, like literally. It's so hard, like, yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, that is the story.
Wow.
Mhm.
Well, Well, that's pretty incredible. Yeah, I think you made a good point when you were saying that you were so courageous at that time and so bold to be able to get out there and do it. And, something that you mentioned about you look back at your past self and realize like, wow, she was courageous back then. But probably at that time, you probably didn't think that you were that courageous. You probably thought like, man, I am out of my mind. Yeah, talk a little bit more about how you like found that? Like how did you like really get in touch with yourself to like put yourself out there?
I've always had this vision. I've always seen myself having like this interesting, exciting life with some kind of sort of contribution. So that was my main reason, like why I felt so frustrated living in Kazakhstan. I felt like I wasn't able to achieve that there. And that was also a big, like the biggest push for me to go outside and kind of do it on a bigger scale.
Mm,
So, well, yes, definitely. I've always wanted an exciting life. I wanted something, when life has a meaning, not as in exciting, just entertainment all day. No, it's more of just like having that substance, having that meaning, and now more than ever, impact as well, having an impact. At the time, I wanted just an interesting, meaningful life, but then it evolved into actually contributing, making an impact over time.
yeah, I love that. I relate to that a lot because a life full of purpose is much more beneficial than just wandering through life and just trying to figure it out. I mean, we're always just figuring it out, but when you have a purpose in mind, when you have something that you're working towards, it could be as ambiguous as just wanting to make an impact. But if you're pursuing that on a daily basis, that creates such an adventure and excitement. I love that. And so like as you're going through your life now as a transformational life coach, I mean, how do you stay in that all the time as time goes along? Because I know me, I like lose it sometimes. I'm like, I'm such a purposeful person. I'm in touch with myself. And then other days, like yesterday, I was like, I am so down in the dumps. I was like, who am I? So like, how do you stay in it?
Stay in what? In a flow?
Yeah, I was thinking about like how do you stay in touch with yourself if that's the same thing as a flow state.
Gotcha. How do you stay in touch with yourself? Well, practices is a big thing. Is having tools in your toolbox to use in the moments when you do lose that connection. And obviously, I don't think it's possible to stay in touch with yourself at all times. There's going to be snaps because when you're going through a transformation, you might lose yourself for a second, for a moment, to go through something, and it's just it's a pretty complex process. But let me just start with basics. So practices like definitely meditation, definitely connecting with your breath. Focusing on your breath can bring you in your body. What really helps me to ground myself and again be drop in my body is fitness. Also, just fitness, yoga. Yoga is a great way to drop in your body. Um, Probably journaling as well, because that way you start listening to yourself, which again connects you to yourself some more. So those are the ways. But the philosophy behind it that I personally have is that there is no like there is no place that you arrive to. So it's not like, oh, I figured it out, like I'm in touch with myself and that's where I'll be for the rest of my life. It doesn't work like that. More of a um it's more of a practice. Like, some days you're good and some days you're not that good. Some days you are perfectly in touch with yourself and you feel really connected, and some days you're not going to, because again, you're probably going through an emotional transformation, and or life happens, so it's just the mastery of it is, first of all, detecting what's going on. Second is allowing it to happen. And third is to ground yourself back to balance with certain practices that will work for you.
Yeah, what you said about balance. Um, how do you stay in that balance? Like, is it just like if you find yourself like getting into a funk, do you just go to journaling if that's your thing, and then that brings you back into balance? Is that what you mean?
Yes, that's like being in touch with yourself is pretty much the same thing as being in balance. You can only stay connected to yourself when you're balanced. And as soon as you're slightly off balance, that's when you're not in touch. And that's like a kind of a state that we're all trying to maintain. And again, it's not a consistent thing. It's not that you're constantly on balance. I mean, in balance. So the way I personally do it is, for me, it's activities. I have to go and run or do yoga, or that's like the quickest way for me to come back to myself. And then from there, I can sit in a meditation and observe my thoughts, observe what I'm going through, what's going on, what needs to be addressed. And yeah, then we're right back in.
Yes, yeah, I love that. Journaling for me is huge. Like I did a little bit of that last night, and it helped me realize some of the fears that I've been having deep down that's been causing me to not reach the level of success that I want, or just stopping myself here and there. So I strongly agree with that one. That's a good one.
What was that, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, so I've just realized that there are some parts of me that are very hesitant to go all in on something. As an entrepreneur, a,
Mhm.
a good way to focus and get stuff done is if you're like all in, committed to something. And I have an issue with commitment, I've realized. And I think in my journaling time, I went back to some of the things in my past when I was a kid, or going through high school, or even more recently like in college, and I just realized that I have a fear of being controlled, or I have a fear of disappointment. Like those two things really have been the reasons why I stop myself from moving forward on something. And I now know about it. I haven't quite figured out how to break it, but that's the first step, is just realizing that you have that fear. So yeah.
Yeah, that's just part of the journey. I mean, anyone who is an entrepreneur had to face that and figure it out somehow. So you're right. This awareness is the first step, and once you're aware, then you'll manifest the solution. And yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So tell me about, it sounds like your purpose now is to make impact. Is that right?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Okay, cool. So how did you come to that conclusion?
To share my knowledge and my experience. That's kind of like, what I'm doing daily. How I've gotten to it, that was uh, it was a very interesting turn that I didn't really expect, because at the beginning I saw myself in entertainment industry, because that's just something I was like, oh, I'm gonna be an actress, I'm gonna be a model, I can write some books going forward. I always knew that I'll write books, because I've always had love for poetry, literature, and just writing things on paper. It's like I just go through so many A4s a day. Like I'm just constantly writing. And so, and then that's what I did. So I had completed a 2-year program, got my AA degree, and then I proceeded to work in show business, and did a lot of music videos, movies, and a lot of modeling gigs. What really kind of frustrated me in that industry, that I had to wait for someone to give me a job, and that's just such It's not my mentality at all. Like, I'm not a person who's going to sit around and wait. And I also don't like to waste my time. So I viewed auditions a little bit of wasted time, because like, that's my time. I'm going there and investing, and then you just get nothing out of it. Like, if you book a role, which is realistically, you'll probably book a role from like 10 different auditions that you go to. Out of 10, 2 or 1 would be the booking. So imagine how much effort and time you need to put towards just getting one or booking 1 or 2 jobs. And even if that happens, even for the greatest professional, because a lot of times it's not like you're not good, it's just they're looking for something else for the role, but they still just called you for the audition just to see if it's going to work out. They needed some other look, whatever. There could be so many different reasons. So that started, and I am a person who initiates. I'm like, I don't know if you're familiar with human design. I'm a manifester, and manifester is 9% in the world is the people that whatever they decide, they can go and do it. They don't need a permission. They're not waiting for someone. They're the activators. So that's like my personality. And I was like, oh, okay, I can't sit here and wait. This is frustrating to me. I'm doing a lot of things that I don't enjoy just to be like on camera on set for one day. Like, this, the whole business is kind of didn't work for me. I loved acting a lot, but the business, how it runs, wasn't resonating with me. So I realized, okay, I think I want to do business. And I've had my own body transformation with fitness, because when I just moved here at the beginning, I gained weight. And yeah, I got like so chubby because I had no diet. I didn't know anything about fitness. I was eating exactly the same way how I used to eat in Kazakhstan, except here food is way more fattening and there's a lot of fast food options. So I gained weight pretty quickly. Then I started going to the gym, and I had like it took me a while to learn, but then once I did learn, I had a crazy transformation when from that girl I transformed into a fitness model basically. And everyone was asking me, like, how did you do that? And friends were asking me to go with them to the gym and help them out. I did, and I realized how much I enjoy helping them to get healthier too. It was very easy for me once I figured out, and I was like, it's much easier than people think. For people really start getting a headache once they start thinking about fitness, that it's excruciating to go to the gym. I found it so enjoyable, so exciting. After school, I started when I was in acting school, and after school, I would run to the gym and work out, go 5-6 times a week, like really be disciplined with that. And so when I was teaching, I realized, wow, I really enjoy this. So I started taking part-time clients while I was acting. So I mean, part-time clients, a couple of clients, and I would do that part-time as a side job. And when I was a little bit disappointed with acting, I realized that I want to full on go into business and become a fitness trainer. So for a few years, I just completely immersed myself in that. And then pretty quickly, I built this brand called Body by Jade, and I focused on female clients because it's just easier to work with women. And I really enjoyed helping women transform and feel confident. And it was extremely rewarding, where with guys, they would try to flirt with you. I'm like, that's a waste of time. Like, I'm not here for that. I'm a professional. Okay. So I can give you a result, but I'm not here to flirt with you. So I was like, okay, I'm going to focus on female audience. Plus, again, it was super rewarding. Like, it's just, there's something about working with women in coaching. It's super exciting. So, and then also celebrities. I worked with celebrities as well. So that was great for several years. And that's when I had my biggest transformation as myself. So I hit my low a bit in terms of I was lost before actually starting my business. I was lost in between when I was frustrating my acting career, and I kind of started losing my goal, my vision. I'm like, where am I? And I'm just like, not here, not there, still. And that's when I had to go through a lot of um, just doubts and face fears and childhood traumas, and went it went completely south. I was like, who are you? And like, where is that girl that was so determined, that knew exactly what she wanted, and always believed in herself, no matter the circumstances or whoever would say what from the outside? Like, it never really, like, I wouldn't listen to anyone. I was so determined. I was so focused on my goal. And all of a sudden, I'm listening to everyone. I don't know where I stand. I'm hurting. I lost myself, that was, I started getting depressed. Started waking up hating myself. I'm like, who is this person? I don't recognize you. I don't want to get up. Like, it was bad. It was like for a whole year when I felt like that. And eventually I had to put a stop on it. And I was like, okay, there is something more that I don't know, that I need to find out, because everything that I used to do doesn't work anymore. And I'm in this like weird point in my life. So I started going to spirituality and learning. It's like, what is there? Like, what it was through ceremonies. Like, I did ayahuasca ceremony a few times. I would try any spiritual method that was out there. While doing my business, Body by Jade brand, I was working through my own stuff at the same time, because fitness I already knew how to do. It was very easy for me, but like, what I couldn't figure it out is myself. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is your goal? Why you're not interested in the same things you were interested? Why the same methods don't work anymore for me? And it was like really frustrating, because I'm like looking for an answer. So I became a seeker. I became a full-time seeker. Like, I dedicated myself few years of my life just for self-discovery, locking myself in the room, no more parties, just like locking in the room crying, like facing so many emotional like issues, working through, listening to medicine music, doing yoga, doing meditation, going to this retreat, reading this book, doing like anything I could find. And I'm pretty courageous, like with stuff. No matter how scary or risky, I would go and do it. Like, I've tried the combo, like frog poison thing that removes toxins from your body. Like, it hurts so much, and it's like a whole thing. I've done that. So basically anything I could find, I would do it. And I was this adventure of now trying to find myself, who I am, and how am I going to proceed in my life. I needed that certainty again. I needed the control over my life again. So yeah, just few years of that has brought me to realize, first of all, that one of the problems why the things that used to work didn't work anymore, and I hit my plateau, was I had a very wounded masculine energy, and I was out of touch with my feminine energy. So I was working really hard, and my ego was through the roof, and I was trying to prove something to someone. And also, yeah, so those methods didn't work anymore, like, because that's the plateau that I hit. That was one of the reasons. And second reason was that, yes, I cannot sit around and wait for anyone. I have to be on this entrepreneurial journey and be the activator, be the initiator. But for that, I had to first bring my belief in myself back up, so I can become a leader again, and I can initiate and activate. First, I had to believe in myself again with the same dedication and strengths and just, how I used to have. But for that, I had to transform myself and work on myself so much so I can go back up and stronger and more powerful than I've ever been, and with clarity and awareness and conscious decision that was made. And I realized that my purpose, I discovered a healer within myself. that I apparently have a talent that was passed through generation that I never really kind of knew before. So, and then when I started digging, is my mom's side, my grandma, my grandma, all of them were healers one way or another. So that was something that I realized. I was like, whoa, okay, now it's making sense why I went through what I went through, what I'm discovering today, and where that's gonna go. So and yeah, like I was already coaching people in fitness. Now obviously me going through so much transformation, what do I want to do? I want to share my findings, and the first thing I did was share it with my fitness clients, and they were getting fantastic results in their like life besides how their bodies were transforming. Like one would be having a great relationship with your husband now, using the advice that I would like help her. The other one was able to let go of some addictions. And it's like there's so many stories where I was able to help in their life using the methods that have worked for me, which led me to realize I'm like, oh, it's time to expand. I cannot just be fitness trainer anymore. I have to, it's time has come for me to just start offering life coaching, because there are so many results that people are having, and like I can help so many more people instead of me just sitting here and training clients. So that has expanded, and then I started this company called Evolved. It's focused on self-development, online school, all about self-development and how to break through for entrepreneurs like yourself, for anyone who is seeking their purpose, for anyone who needs empowerment and trying to get to balance and alignment. So I've been through all that, you know, and I had to live it and seek all the methods that were actually effective, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. There is a lot of like everyone is a coach today, everyone is a healer, and it's good, because which means all of us are healers to a certain extent. We just need to get in touch with that, and that is happening. But then there's also a lot of misinformation is happening. There's a lot of confusion is going on too. So so that's why yeah, that's how it basically kind of worked for me.
Wow. It seems like one thing just led to another. And I love how you really just played off of, okay, this was my experience. This is what I personally learned about myself. Let me go share it with other people. I love that because that gives you so much conviction. That gives you so many things to pull from yourself that you can now give to other people, and people sense that about you. People will know like, oh, this girl is legit because she did it herself. And so I think that is such an amazing thing. So tell me about the flow state. Like, what is your definition of that and why is it important?
So flow is trust, you know, is trust. But the reason a flow state is so important, because it's just not possible for a human being to control everything and to just plan everything out. Yes, you can plan all day long as much as you want, but guess what? Things are gonna go its own way, the way it needs to go, right? And I'm sure any of the listeners, or from our experience as well, where we would plan certain way, and when did it really work out exactly by the plan? For me, never. Like it
Right.
always had just gone this way or that way, and turn out differently. So what does that say? That if you and I used to be that control freak. I used to be that perfectionist that needed to be by the plan. I resisted the flow state so much because I just was scared. I was scared to trust. So I was trying to control. And the more I would try to control, the more resistance I would experience from other people, from the manifestation I would have. So it wasn't really helping me. It was actually delaying. And I had to work much harder to achieve anything, because I was operating from a place of resistance and controlling and fear. That's what happens when you're not in a flow state. So when you are in a flow state is when you have done your part as much as you could in terms of what you could contribute in the moment, fully being present, giving your all in the moment, and then the rest you kind of are let it roll the way it goes. You do keep your manifestation or your final result that you're trying to achieve in your mind, so you know the direction, but you don't need to know the way exactly how it will happen. And that's where a flow state comes in handy, because just being, first of all, everything comes to you much easier. If like me, I'm just going to take me as an example. When I was resisting, where I was being controlling, I had to work so hard and I would get very little results. Where when I started learning to trust and just focus on the process and being in the moment fully, without, and being okay with a lot of things not being planned out, and kind of discover it as I go, is that's when things that I wanted would come so quickly from unexpected places. Like I felt completely, so many times I felt completely taken care of by the universe, because it would just present it to me what I wanted in such a effortless, enjoyable way, where I didn't even have to work. I didn't have to work hard. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is awesome. Like, I really like this. How do I maintain myself in this state? So it's, I would give a nice analogy that is probably going to be easier to understand this. When we go on a trip, like to a country or like a city, we don't know what's like. Of course, if you are googling it, like you're preparing a whole thing, it's a tour, like that's one thing. But a lot of times we can just buy a ticket and show up and then figure it out as we go. We don't know what kind of like city that is, what kind of people there live there, like what we're gonna see. We'll just get there and we'll figure it out. That's kind of how life is. Know your destination, buy a ticket, which is take a first step, right? And then arrive and then discover and adjust to the things that you have discovered along the way. And then as you adjust, you will start just discovering so many things, learning so many things, discovering so many things about yourself, because in spontaneity, there is magic. In a flow state, there's magic. So that's kind of where we're trying to be, like just consistently. And it's always just checking in with yourself and being like, am I consistent? Am I fully present in the moment, or am I planning on what's going to happen next? Am I, when I'm talking to someone, am I assuming what they're thinking, or am I actively listening? So those little things can really drop you in a flow state.
I love that. Yeah. It's so true, because I'm the type of person who will try to plan or just, figure out everything for the future. And that's one of the things that was holding me back yesterday, because all I thought about was the future, and that didn't get me anywhere productive at all. So today I decided to change that. I was like, okay, I'm going to be more present, and I got more stuff done. So, and I feel better about myself too, which is just so huge. And so I love that. I love that little tiny thing that you can do on a daily basis just to be present. Like, are you really listening? Are you really focusing on what you need to do? Like, that's huge.
Active listening is definitely the biggest, like the best way to determine if you're in a flow or not. If you're spaced out, like that's for sure you're not present. If you're actively soaking in, I also would add something to it, is really connecting with your instincts. Like, so your sensations need to be tuned in. Like when you're with people, you need to be hearing, you need to be seeing, you need to be smelling, sensing, feeling. So flow is the feeling. So you being connected to the feeling and your instincts at all time, and then going with that, trusting that your instincts and your feeling is intelligent enough to help you in any situation, and you'll always be fine, regardless if you've planned or prepared or not. That's kind of like a superpower.
Yeah, it's this level of like just being in tune with what it is that is going on around you. And yeah, like I like to think of it as like the still small voice, like inside of yourself. And like for me, I'm a person of faith. So like for me, like being connected with God and how he speaks to me is kind of like that still small voice of telling me, but I have to be very present to even hear that. If you're off thinking about something else, you're not going to hear that. You're not going to be able to act upon those thoughts or those gut reactions that you need to make. I mean, there's also like the gut reactions that aren't so good, but on the side of like going towards the right direction, that's super key. So yeah, great point. And I know we have just like a couple minutes left, but um, what would you say is like your top strategy for getting into the flow state? Like, would you say it is that just being present in the moment, or is there something else that you would say would be like the number one?
Like I said, again, it's just being in tune with your feeling, with your instincts, being hyper present by listening. And the most important thing is not being attached to the outcome,
Mm,
is detachment. So you can only really focus on a certain thing. Either you are focusing on the outcome and you're completely busy how it's going to play out in the future. Is the reality matching to what I have planned? Am I close enough to what I'm trying to achieve, or am I failing? So you're either busy with that, or you're busy with what is that person trying to say. It's like, what is happening in the moment? It's like, what am I feeling? How does that make me feel? Or also observing your thoughts is like, what is going on in my mind? Like, am I like just being a gentle observer with no judgment, and just noticing how your mind is reacting to certain things. So just being in a state of awareness, being connected to the feeling, being in tune with your instincts, being an active listener. All of those things are mandatory to stay in a flow state.
excellent. I love it. Awesome. Well, Jade, it's been such a pleasure. So tell everybody where we can find you on social media. You have several companies. Where do you want people to go to find you?
Yes, so I am very active on two platforms, is Instagram and Clubhouse. That's where I think that's where you and I met, on Clubhouse as well. So yeah, follow me there. My actual name is Zhadra, and my stage name is Jade. So a lot of people call me Jade because I have Body by Jade. I acted as Jade Kanapina, but I'm slowly starting to return to my actual name, Zhadra. So my Clubhouse and Instagram I already have changed. So it's Zhadra underscore Kanapina. So yeah, find me on Instagram, Clubhouse, connect. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I would love to help. And just I also sometimes jump on a free consultation calls with clients if I have spare time, so I can also help out as much as I can. So feel free, if I have time, we can schedule something like that as well. And yeah, I am here at service for anyone who needs it.
Hey, thank you. Awesome. So last thing, like I mentioned, I am a person of faith, so I would love to pray for you if you would allow me.
Course. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Yes, I will pray for you as well. Send the goodness to the angels.
Yes, yes. Okay. I'm going to pray now. So, dear Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for this day, Lord. Thank you so much for bringing Jade to me today and through Clubhouse. I am so thankful for the spirit that she brings. She is such a giver, such a helper, such a person who just wants to serve others. And I thank you for that because I know that you have already made it so that she can impact the lives of so many women out there. And that type of impact is going to make a exponential impact on the world, because if she can change one person's life, that person can change two people's lives, and the chain reaction can just go on so much more. And I know that you have placed that desire in her heart, and that is something that you know that she wants to achieve and fulfill each and every day. And we thank you that you are making a way for her to do that more and more and more, and you are opening those doors for incredible success, not only in the impact, but her financial success, in her spiritual success, in her relational such success, and with her family as well. Lord God, I thank you that you are giving her everything that she needs to have that impact, and to just be who she is and attract the right people into her life. I pray that you'll continue to bless her and bless this day in Jesus' name. Amen.
That was amazing. Wow. You just blew me away with this prayer.
Thanks.
You're
Thanks.
so like, wow, you're so great. Like, it's just your spirit is so beautiful.
Oh,
Thank
thank you. You have such a beautiful spirit too. I'm like blown away with like, I just felt like so connected with you. So and thank you so much for being on.
thank you for amazing question, and just the vibe that you have. Your presence is really enjoyable, and I love sharing. Thank you so much.
Aw.